Today I hiked Nokogiriyama, which is a very popular day hike from Tokyo in Chiba prefecture. And as always, I'm going to give you tips on how you can get there, some things to take care of during the hike, just some general information about the hike if you want to do it yourself. First, getting there. There are two major ways of getting there, boat or train. If you want to take the boat, you would have to first take a train down to Yokohama station. There you have to transfer to the Keikyu main line. You have to take that all the way down to Keikyu Kurihama station. From there you have to take either bus number 7 or 8. Number 7 or 8 are loops. They only run between the train station and the ferry terminal, so you always can get on either bus 7 or 8. And from there you have to take the Tokyo 1 ferry across Tokyo Bay until you reach Kanagwa ferry station. If you want to go by train, you first have to take either the Sobu line or the Keiyu line all the way to Chiba station. They have to transfer to the JR Uchibo line and take the train all the way down to Hamakanayama station. Now, whether you take the boat or the train is going to kind of depend on which part of Tokyo you are staying in. If you're staying closer towards the eastern side, maybe in Asakusa, in Ueno, in Ginza, then I would recommend taking the train because that route is probably going to be faster. If you're staying more towards the southern or the southwestern side of Tokyo, then I would recommend going to Yokohama. Also because this is a more scenic ride. As I said, it rides all the way across Tokyo Bay. It has some observation platforms, so you can enjoy a really nice, beautiful view across the bay as you are being shipped to the other side of Tokyo Bay. Either way, it's going to be a roughly 10 to 15 minute walk to the start of the trail. If you are not sure where the trail is, there are signs, but you can just simply type in Tenno Shrine into Google Maps, and the shrine is basically a minute or 2 minutes away from the start of the trail. Now, the hike itself is fairly easy. It's not too difficult to do the hike. However, it gets a little bit complicated because the hike often branches off. And the problem with that is that the branches do not necessarily loop back into each other. So it often branches off and then it kind of just ends at a dead end and you have to backtrack to kind of get back to where you wanted to go. The first branching already happens at the beginning of the trail, where you have two options of getting to the top. You can either take the Kanto no Fureai no Michi, which is the wooden steps that lead to the top, or if you go to the left on the paved road, that is the Shariki no Michi. Now, the Kanto no Fureai no Michi, I think that is the more nature-based path that takes you like through the forest, whereas the other one is kind of more easier to walk and part of it is also on the paved road. But both of them take roughly the same time, around 50 minutes to 1 hour to get to the top. If you take the Kanto no Fureai no Michi, it starts with a very steep climb on some wooden steps. After 10 minutes you are at kind of a small observation platform, and after that you go deeper into the forest. Now, this is where you will find, after another 10-15 minutes walking, the most important branch. If you take the steps up to the right, that is going to be towards Nihonji temple, which is kind of the main attraction of this overall hike. However, what I would recommend is first going to the left. This leads you to some stone quarries. So this mountain used to be kind of a rock producing area from the late 19th century all the way to the 1980s. And there are these kind of quarries that are remaining. They are really huge. It doesn't really show on camera, but they are really, really tall. And if you yell, you get a really sick echo. And these are really an interesting attraction, so I definitely recommend not just straight going to the shrine, to the main attraction, but going left. There are 3 main quarries on the way. The second one is really interesting because it has kind of like this pond in front of it, and inside the pond there is this really bright gold koi for some reason. It's kind of like in the middle of nature, and you see this koi. That's really interesting. And then if you continue along the quarries, you're going to have a branch again. As I said, it branches off quite often. If you go to the right, this is going to be to Tokyo Bay Observatory, which is a kind of a cool observatory. It's really wide and open, and you have some great views across Tokyo Bay. You can sometimes see Mount Fuji if the weather is clear. You can see some other parts of Chiba prefecture. But honestly, you kind of get better views from the top later on, so you can skip this for now. If you go to the left, this will lead you to the top of Nokogiriyama, or to the top of the actual mountain. However, again, you're going to be pretty high up later on anyway, so you can skip both of these. And at that point, you would have to backtrack all the way through the quarries, all the way to that first branch where you had to decide between going to the quarries or to the shrine, and then go up to the shrine. Nihonji Shrine is, I believe, the oldest shrine in the Kanto area, and although it's called shrine, it's really just a massive area that encompasses a lot of different shrines, tons of Buddhist statues, some temples, and just a lot of different things. So it's kind of like a mini hike in itself. I would recommend taking maybe 2 or 3 hours just to see everything. I'm going to talk a little bit about what you can see there in the highlights section. Now, to get back, you can either hike down again, which is gonna take you around another 40 minutes. Or you can also take a cable car, which is really conveniently located just outside of the shrine, and that takes 4 minutes, which is what I did. Because if you take the cable car, you can stay longer and you don't have to like worry about hiking back before it gets dark. There isn't really a lot of food available up there, and there are some small snack stands inside the shrine area, but it's kind of overpriced. So what I'd recommend is if you arrive by train or if you arrive by ferry, there is kombinis, there's a supermarket, so you can buy some supplies there. You can buy just some snacks to bring along and then bring them with you. The same with drinks. There are some vending machines at the top of the shrine, but none along the kind of other hiking path. So I'd recommend just buying something in advance. I brought like 1 liter with me, which lasted me for that hike, and then I just bought some more at the vending machines inside the shrine and refilled, and yeah, that was enough for me. Again, you don't have to bring any like heavy hiking boots because it's a fairly easy hike, so like trail shoes and everything should be good enough. A big part of this hike is again covered. The only times where it's kind of really sunny is when you are at the observatories, but for that part I would definitely bring some sunscreen if you get sunburned easily, and also a hat to protect yourself. I actually got a little bit sunburned because I spent a lot of time observing obviously the really beautiful nature and the really beautiful views from the top. So if you're like me and you want to see those beautiful views, then I would recommend just bring some sunscreen along. And then one last thing is also bring along money, because the entrance to the actual shrine costs 700 yen, or around $7 US, and also the ropeway costs 500 yen, and I believe they only take cash, so if you only have a credit card with you, you cannot get in or get on the ferry, so I'd recommend just bringing some cash just in case. Now this is again a coastal hike, so you don't have to worry about bears, so you can leave your bear bells at home, thankfully. There are kind of 2 semi-dangerous animals on the path. Again, Suzumebachi, these are the Japanese giant hornets that are very prevalent in a lot of hikes in Japan. However, they mostly just come out in summer, so if you're doing the hike in winter or something, you don't have to worry much about those. And as I said in the last video, if you wear bright clothing, they should not attack you. The other dangerous animal, and there are kind of warning signs about this, is the mamushi, also known as the pit viper, which is one of 3 poisonous or venomous snakes in Japan. Now this snake usually ambushes its prey, so that means it kind of hides in the bushes or in the leaves, and then when a mouse or like a bird or something comes nearby, then it strikes. So the thing is, as long as you're staying on the main path, there is a very low chance of stepping on it or finding one, because it wouldn't hide, or it wouldn't just be on the main path. The only time I saw one was when I was climbing up some like steps, and it was kind of hidden on the right side of the steps, right inside the bush. I didn't step on it, thankfully. I just like heard it move when I was walking past it, and yeah, thankfully I didn't get bitten. I don't think it's deadly normally. If you have some kind of weird reaction, then you might die, but normally, yeah, you shouldn't worry. As long as you're staying on the main path and not going to the bushes, then you shouldn't get bitten by it, and just look at your feet. Also make sure that you make the last ropeway round down. So I think in winter, between November and February, the ropeway runs until 4 p.m. In summer, between March and October, it runs until 5 p.m. So just make sure to not miss that one, otherwise you would have to walk down for 40 or 50 minutes, and sometimes you would have to walk down through darkness, which is not nice. So yeah, highlights for me were certainly the stone quarries at first, because you just have these massive stone walls in front of you and you just feel so small inside of them. That was really cool. And also seeing kind of this weird goldfish, I don't know why it's there, but yeah, it was really interesting. And then the temple area itself, because you have really great views from the top, you have this kind of overhang stone, which is the main attraction. I think it's called Hell View, and you can kind of stand, and it looks like you're standing on a rock that's defying gravity against the backdrop, and it just looks like it's about to fall down. It also has a lot of Buddhist history, so you have a cannon statue right at the entrance, which is I believe 60 meters high. This was built in 1960, and it was all carved into the stone. It was built as a memory for those who have died in World War II. You also have this other Buddha statue, which is the biggest stone Buddha statue in all of Japan. And it's really, really big. I don't know if it really showed on the video, but if you stand in front of it, it's just massive. And they also have these other small statues. There are, I think, 1,500 of them. These are also Buddhist statues. Now, unfortunately, a lot of them, or almost all of them, were destroyed after the Meiji restoration. There was a strong anti-Buddhist movement, so a lot of people just cut their heads off and everything. There have been restorations ongoing to repair them until to the former state, but a lot of them are still kind of missing their heads, and each of them has a different kind of facial expression, a different face. So you can just kind of wander around and explore all of the different statues. And here finally just the views. You can see all of Tokyo Bay, you can see all the way to Yokohama and Tokyo. You can even see Mount Fuji on a clear day. And it's a really wide open and really beautiful view from the top. I would recommend this hike if you're looking for an easy day trip hike from Tokyo. If you're maybe new to hiking in Japan and you want to try an easy kind of mountain hike as your first hike in Japan, this is a really good option. You're definitely rewarded with some great views. And even if you just take the cable car up to the top, you can still kind of do a mini hike inside the temple area for 2 or 3 hours. And it's still kind of exhausting because you still climb down and climb up. So even if you don't climb all the way to the top, it's still a hike in itself, and it's really interesting. So yeah, that was it for Nokogiriyama. As I said, I'm going to try to do one hiking video per week. There might be 1 or 2 weeks where I miss one in June, simply because it's going to be rainy season soon, and yeah, that means no hiking possible during that time. But yeah, certainly in the summer month there's going to be a hiking video every day. So if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing, and let me know if you already hiked Nokogiriyama and if you liked it as much as I did. Alright, with that said, I'll see you in the next one. See ya!